Not Quite
Darkness
is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, children of all ages, well, probably not children of all ages because we talk about horror films, but you have the idea. Welcome to another great episode of Not Quite Darkness. My name is Keith Brooks, and here with me as always is Mr. Chad Dowdy. Chad, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited to talk about this spooky film. If you don't know what we do, there is a series of documentaries called In Search of Darkness. There are a plethora of spin-offs from that where they chronicle every fucking horror movie made in the 1980s. And Chad, who was at the time my friend, was like, let's watch all of them. And I was like, yeah, friend, you won't lead me astray. And so I agreed, and here we are. Starting 1982, and I think we're starting it kind of strong with
I agree.
Poltergeist. This is my first time ever viewing it. Chad, had you seen the film before?
Yeah, I've seen it many times, and I think this is a perfect reason to do this podcast is because you had never seen Poltergeist
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
So we're horror fans. We've seen a lot of horror. That doesn't mean we've seen everything,
yeah.
but yeah, Poltergeist is going to be new for you. You know, there's things that have been new for me as well. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited. This is your first time watch, but Poltergeist is about a ghost. I didn't know what to dress up as this time, Keith. So this is my only ghost shirt here.
Uh, read more books. Is that what it says?
Exactly. Yeah, read
That's
more
awesome.
books.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
that's all I got for ghosts.
I was just gonna put a white streak in my hair to be like the girl at the end, but I decided against it.
Oh yeah, because she had to immediately get that out. I mean, we'll get to
Immediately.
that, but
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe you just worry about that another day.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, maybe, but we'll get to it. But like Keith said, this is 1982 classic Poltergeist.
Yeah. Directed arguably by Tobe Hooper, though this feels very Spielberg. But I think I've only seen the not great Tobe Hooper films. And I know he's directed a lot of good ones. I've seen Texas Chainsaw, which I love, and then I've seen a lot of his shittier movies. And so I think that like skews my understanding of his directorial capabilities.
I do think there are some moments that feel a little bit like Toby Hooper in
Yeah.
this, uh, but you're 100% right. It Spielberg has his fingerprints all over this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll jump right into it. So, the movie starts with it's back in the old days for you youngins, the TV would actually stop showing content and it would, uh, go silent, just be static. Are you too young for that, Keith?
No, I remember it. I didn't get a lot of the American patriotism stuff at the end of the channels, but I definitely remember going static, and I definitely remember infomercial hours. Like I remember that more than anything. Like after a
Right.
certain, and then like a lot of porn sites advertisement, like a lot of porn phone number advertisements, like on this stuff, 1-900 numbers and
I don't
stuff.
know what you're watching, Keith. That's totally inappropriate. So the TV goes to the static, and then we have the main girl, Carol Ann, and she's basically up on the TV talking to, according to her, the people in the TV.
Mhm.
It's super creepy right off the
Super
bat.
creepy. Yep,
It's
immediately.
creepy,
Yeah.
and the whole family kind of wakes up, like what's happening, and with the family, we've got the brother, the big sister. The dad is Craig T. Nelson. I know him as Coach.
I know
You
him as
probably know him
Mr.
as Mr.
Incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, I do.
I mean, not that I don't know him as Mr. Incredible, but I mean, he
Uh,
was Coach before he's Mr. Incredible to me. And the mom is it Jo Beth Williams, and she is beautiful. in this.
Beautiful.
She is beautiful. She's in
Beautiful.
several 80s movie. This might be the height of her beauty, though. She is
She's
gorgeous in this
gorgeous,
film.
especially with that white streak of hair at the end. Fucking perfect.
Yeah,
I
some
do
rogue
want to,
action.
yeah, I do want to say I think this is our problematic age gap because there's a moment where later on they ask how old the daughter is or the wife is, and he's like 32, and that made my not even 40-year-old ass feel old because I'm like, you have three kids and a house and a ghost. Like you are over accomplished. But there ain't no way Craig T. Nelson is in his 30s in this fucking movie. Like that's not what 30-year-olds look like in the 80s, you know?
You may be right. We could look it up if we cared, but I feel like Craig T. Nelson looked the same age for
Probably,
30 years.
probably, yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
probably from like 25 to 55, he looks the exact same. I mean, really.
Yeah,
But yeah, like I said, she's just gorgeous in this film.
agreed.
Gorgeous. Um, Nothing really happens with that. Them just seeing that. It really we just see the next day, and we're setting up. They live like in a huge, like subdivision. Whatever you call it, houses on top of houses.
Yeah.
You know, just establishing that they are just packed in together. In that, and we just see a little bit of that. This is definitely Spielberg to me.
Yeah.
The next day with like the kids messing around, and the they're so close together that I didn't really experience this, but apparently the remote controls work on TVs in the same house.
I also feel like by that point, by the 80s, because I think remote controls probably came about, I don't know, the 60s, the 70s, maybe? I don't know. I'm -3 when this movie is released. So I don't really, I remember controls, but I also remember having to get up and change the channels still on our big living room TV. So I don't know when remote controls happened, but that seems like a bug you would have gotten rid of fairly soon in the process.
Yeah, I don't know because I was born in 78.
Okay.
I remember, getting up and changing the TV as well. I don't remember when remote controls happened,
I,
but I
and
could definitely see where it's possible
yeah,
that if you're on top of each other and you have the same TV,
yeah.
the remote control, that happens. That happened 10 years ago with like garage door openers for crying out loud.
Well, and key fobs and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
understand like the mixing of signals. And I also, it's hard to tell like when remote controls came out because I also recognize I was poor as a child. So we didn't have the cutting edge material,
Right.
you know. So, you know,
Your TV was black and white forever, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We just got color TV the other day. That Jackie Gleason sure looks wonderful.
So now we're back to the night and it's storming outside. And the brother and Carol Ann actually they sleep in the same bedroom, but
Mhm.
outside their bedroom is just the creepiest looking tree
The
of all time.
scariest fucking tree ever.
Yes.
Ever. Has the thing with the bird, has that already happened?
It might be the next day. I don't remember specifically. It might be that same day.
I think it's the
Because he's
first
playing in
day.
the tree. Yeah, because he's playing in the tree. You're right. The
Yeah.
the brother is playing in the tree.
So the very first thing we see after the TV, they wake up the next day and the bird, Carol Ann's pet bird dies. And that's the first, the canary in the coal mine sort of situation.
Literally. Yeah.
Then they have to go do a funeral for the bird. And then, yeah, because that has to happen because the next day they fuck up the burial site. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So, you know, they bury the bird like you said, and then there's a storm that night. And then we see, Craig T. Nelson and Joe Beth Williams in the bed, and she's just smoking a joint in
It's
the
my
bed.
favorite scene in the movie. Like
Like
just how joyful they were and like how young it made them seem.
100%.
A fucking amazing scene.
Yeah.
Amazing sequence.
Yeah. I mean, they have, like you said, three kids, and one of them is a teenager.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, it really set the tone of this movie of the family. Like they are a family. They love each other. There's no there's no like problems or anything like that. They're just hanging out. She's smoking a joint. He's trying to roll one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved it.
yeah, I love that scene as well. And then the son comes in because he's scared, and Craig T. Nelson takes him to the room, and he tells him this trick. And I'm bringing this up about seeing how close the storm is, about counting. And I saw this movie when I was very young, and I have done that my entire life because of this movie.
I have done that my entire life and have never seen this movie. So I don't know if I learned that from someone else who had seen the movie or if it's just an old wives' tale or permeated. But the minute I saw it, I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Also, that tree is terrifying. But oh, fuck. Like,
Yeah, but 100%. I know for a fact I learned it from this movie, especially because I was a kid at
yeah,
the age when this came out. So definitely you'd want to know when the storms
yeah,
was coming. But he puts him back in the bed. He tells him the story about the storm, and it is getting further away, according to the wives' tale,
yeah,
like you said. But then they all just end up in the bed anyway. It's just,
yeah.
they're scared. They end up in the bed. And then the TV was on, obviously. So it goes off again. It's static again. And then we have Carol Ann, because she's in the bedroom with her parents. She gets up out of bed. She goes and she's talking to the TV people again. And, you know, it's a cheap effect, but it's like a hand, like a spectral hand
Yeah.
reaches out, and then it goes into the room and causes this huge earthquake
Yeah.
that is really just centered on their house, I guess.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, you know, um, and then we get the famous line from the movie where Carol Ann turns around and she says to her parents who have woken up, "They're here." So
Terrifying.
love that line.
That's the moment I would be out. When I was like, holy fuck, I have 3 kids. I would be out. I would leave that house immediately at that point.
So you would have made it out of this one, unlike all the other ones when you stay.
I would have
I
been
think that
gone.
this is the difference though. In this scenario, you're married to Jo Beth Williams. You'll be married to her anywhere you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we can leave together, carry the weed and the dog, who I like the dog a lot. Let me
Yep.
side tangent. So kids are the most terrifying things in the world. My aunt has a grandchild, and her granddaughter's maybe 3 years old, and my she was staying with my aunt, and she was going to show off her basement because it has like a basement apartment thing. And so she's showing it to a prospective tenant, and my aunt's carrying her granddaughter and showing this nice guy all the stuff, right, for his family to potentially move in. And the granddaughter looks at the guy and says, "You should have seen it when there was blood all over the walls. It was everywhere." And the guy was like, "Excuse me?" And my aunt's like, I don't know what she's talking about. I swear there's no blood. And the guy's like, "Thank you, man. We'll look somewhere else." And just fucking leaves. So kids, terrifying. They see things differently. You know what I mean?
While that is terrifying, there's also comedy movies like that where the kids don't want to leave the house. They don't want to move out of their house. So
Yeah.
they just make up shit whenever people come,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So maybe that was happening.
Maybe,
Maybe
maybe,
she didn't want to leave.
maybe.
She's just smart. So now we're the next day, and there are some workers that are putting in a pool.
And the first thing you see is them knock over part of where that tree was, and they take up the little burial site of the bird, moving its dead body. And it's like barely there, but it's a great little wink at the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah, it's just like a smaller version of what
Yeah.
is happened and will happen as far as that goes. But then the teenage daughter walks out, and these guys are so inappropriate, like unbelievably so. Like
It's, there
we,
is
I,
so
go
much
ahead.
inappropriate with this daughter to begin with. Like at first, it's just this moment, and she's sort of like, playing into their attention. But later on, there's a whole section where they're talking about a hotel, and she's like, "Oh, I remember that place," and has this face of like, "I shot my sixth gangbang there," like sort of feeling, and it's like, what? Like, I got mad, and I'm not even her dad. You know what I mean? Like.
I mean, well, it was crazy. They were needlessly inappropriate. I mean, like
Neat.
I don't understand. Like I know we haven't talked about this movie yet because we haven't got there, but we've talked about it outside of In Search of Darkness's um, sleepaway camp.
Oh,
How
absolutely.
inappropriate the cook is.
Yeah.
Like I got those vibes from
Yeah.
those people. Like
And
it
it's
was
just It's just, it's gotta suck being a woman, man. This is what you have to deal with, even when you're the teenage daughter in this movie. Like,
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
And did, I don't really know the purpose of it, but, she shoots him a bird or whatever. And then the mom's like all like proud because a daughter can like stand up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
you know, again, if that played into something somewhere later down the line, that, maybe, but it just made no sense in the movie, quite frankly.
agreed. Like, I also feel like the teenage daughter was only available like 2 out of the 5 weeks of shooting.
Yes,
Like, that's my feeling of the movie.
100%. Because at some point she leaves forever and the boy stays like the most
Yeah,
vulnerable one. But
absolutely. And is this, talking outside of the kayfabe? That's the lady that passed away, right? The teenage daughter.
yes, but so did Carol Ann. Both
Yeah,
of them did.
both of them. That's
Yes,
tragic.
yes, very tragic. Um, So we get that scene. The dog is scared of like there was like a crack in the wall or something from when the earthquake, and the dog is just barking at the crack in the wall. That's the stuff that freaks me out in movies, and it's so well done when you have a dog
Yeah,
that has this other perception, is just scared of something that you can't see,
yeah.
but the dog can like sense it. I love stuff like that. So the dog's scared of it, and it's just the mom and Carol Ann, in the house, and I don't know how they did this shot back then, but it was great.
But it's also, I wonder if this is the first time this shot has happened, because this is the oldest I've seen it happening, and it's such a classic trope used in movies all the time now.
Absolutely. It's a classic trope, but also it's like so in this case, again, it's so well done. I don't know how they did it
Yeah,
without like special effects, but basically she's mad and talking about, the chairs need to be pushed in at the kitchen table. And she pushes the chairs in and we see that. And then she just walks around the corner and the camera just follows her as she gets something down, not down, something out of the cabinet, and then looks back, and all the chairs are stacked up on the table like in a pyramid.
yeah,
And there was like zero time to do this.
yeah,
I mean, legitimately, it was so well done, and of course, it scared her,
yeah,
because Carol Ann couldn't even have done it. Like,
yeah,
even forget about the time. Carol Ann is a little child. She can't stack them up that way anyway.
yeah.
So she freaks out, and Carol Ann's just like, "Oh yeah, that's just the people on the TV." And the mom
Also,
is believing
she stops Carol Ann earlier from watching just the static on the television. And because Carol Ann's like staring at it like it's like a Sears catalog, and I've just hit puberty. You know what I mean? Like,
it.
she's that fucking close to it, and she's like, and the mom literally changes the channel, and she's like, "Watch something, you weirdo," and just walks away.
Yeah. So I guess they weren't happy with her, so they stacked the stuff up. And what the dad does for a living is he actually sells home in this huge neighborhood.
Development, yeah,
Yeah, huge development. Yeah. So he comes home from doing that, and it's almost like the wife is high. Then she's on a high of what she has discovered,
yeah,
and she's like written on the floor and has the drawings on the floor and things like that. And she like puts a chair in the middle of the floor, and the chair just slides all the way across the room. She puts Carol Ann down, and Carol slides all across the room. And what I love about this, I love this so much because Mr. Incredible is already on board. There is no,
yeah.
there has to be a rational explanation
No,
about this. This
he,
makes no sense. What are
he
you doing? Are you tricking me? None of that.
I also love the fact that she's sort of like giddy about it, like she's playing with it, and is like, "Here, demons, move my child to the other side of the room." And he looks in this part honestly scared, like he looks fucking terror. He looks concerned and all that. And then we jump cut to him trying to talk to the neighbors, and it looks like they both smoked in between because they're just
Yes,
giggles. Like, yeah,
they are. They are. It is like it's a euphoria. It's like they are high on what is happening.
yeah,
And they don't like play with that a lot because we're jumping into some crazy shit like here real soon or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, they go to their neighbors to kind of see, hey, do you guys notice anything? Like does furniture move in your house? All that stuff. They're kind of asking that, and obviously, the neighbors like, you guys are crazy. And they don't even entertain them as far as that goes. But yeah, uh, on mine, I thought it was a bad edit,
Me too.
but I looked it up. I mean, I looked it up on YouTube and then I Google it, and I don't know what's true or what, but the only thing I could kind of find on it is that after right before it cuts, I think Craig T. Nelson starts talking bad about Pizza Hut because they're going to go.
Oh,
And
that's
so
funny.
what they cut out is the bad talk about
Pizza
Pizza
Hut.
Hut.
Because it's like he's in the middle of a sentence and then it just cuts to the thing.
It definitely seemed like it was a mess up, like
Yeah.
for sure. But that's about all I could find was
Yeah.
that, again, it was a Pizza Hut reference that Pizza Hut said no thanks to. Maybe Spielberg was about to sign an ET deal or something with them.
Something like that.
Pizza
Yeah.
Hut, who knows? Yep. But like I said, I'm a huge fan of how just like they're in it now,
Yeah. And
and
I'm
there is
I'm a
no.
huge fan of Pizza Hut, so
Yeah,
I agree with that cut.
I do like Pizza Hut as well.
Yeah.
Uh, so now it's the night, and the storm is back, and in reverse of this time, this he's counting, and it's getting closer and closer this time. So it's building up suspense as far as that goes, and then uh the tree doesn't like get hit by lightning and fall in. The tree comes to life,
And just
busts through the
reaches in
window.
and grabs him like they're gonna go storm the armies of Mordor and go beat the shit out of Sauron.
100%.
Terrifying.
Yes,
Fucking terrifying.
it is terrifying. And what I love about this too is the parents hear it and they come in and they see it.
Yeah.
So again, there is no like people are not going to believe in this. Everybody in this movie believe it because they see it. They
Yeah.
see a freaking tree hand grab their son and just pull him out
Yeah.
into the storm.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is to a degree, it's fairly early in the movie. There is
It
no,
shocked me how quickly it happened.
yeah, this is not and I mean this in a great way. This is not an A24 slow build. It's
No.
not a changeling from the 80s, slow, methodical.
Mm-mm.
We are in it, and all hell is literally breaking loose. I
Yeah,
love it
this
so much.
this these spirits have the ability to bring a tree to life one time. Just we're not gonna do it again. We're just doing it this one time.
Yes. So the tree grabs him, and then so they run out to try to save him into the storm. But what's happening inside the house is stuff is getting sucked into the closet, including Carol Ann. She gets
Hmm.
sucked into the closet while they are saving the brother outside. And they find, they actually save the brother. Craig T. Nelson climbs up the tree, gets his son out. And when they go back in the house, they can't find Carol Ann. And she is gone. Like she's totally missing. And
They go
they
into the closet, and they see like little legs poking out, covered by a sheet, and then they think, "Oh my God, it's Carol Ann." They start laughing, and they pull the sheet back, and it's a weird fucking clown marionette. And
yep.
then you have to think for a minute. They both look at each other, and before they get to "Where is our daughter?" they have to be thinking, "Why the fuck would we buy this for our children? Who would ever want this thing? I feel like this is gonna hurt them later." Spoiler alert. And then they go look for their daughter again.
Not only they buy it for their children, but not it's in the closet because it got sucked into the closet.
Yeah.
It lives in the chair staring at
At
them.
the foot
Oh,
of the
they see-
bed,
yes.
just watching them. And it's, oh,
It'd be terrifying to me. Like now,
yeah.
today, if I had that clown watching me sleep at night or
Mhm.
whatever. So now they can't find Carol Ann. They're searching for her, and the brother actually hears her in the TV,
Mhm.
and then the mom hears it too, and it's like, yeah, she was talking to the TV people. She's in the TV now. Everything is so ramped up to 100. We don't. Nobody goes to the library and looks at microfiche to figure out what's going on in this
No,
movie. Nothing.
no.
No one's looking at other missing girls in the area. Nothing. They've taken these ghosts have taken my daughter and she's in the TV. That's what it is. Let's deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. So basically, what they do is they go to this film's version of Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Mhm.
and I would think the woman was based on Lorraine Warren. Like, I mean, legitimately for that time, she was based on Lorraine Warren.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
And that shot introducing them, and we see how tired Craig T. Nelson is as it slowly makes its way
it's
around him.
great.
Great shot. That's a Spielberg shot. That's what that fucking shot is. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a beautiful shot.
Yep. So they bring them into the house, and the way they talk, they are experts to a degree, but the way they're talking is they're just little shit that they've dealt
Yeah.
with, but they think it's the biggest stuff in the world,
Yeah.
the stuff that they have seen. So when they open Carol Ann and the brothers' room door,
Because the conversation directly preceding that is we spent 72 hours watching a penny, or no, a Matchbox 20 car move 3 centimeters, and it took it 72 hours to do so. And then Mr. Incredible's like, yeah, okay.
yeah, because the dude was
Just-
like, "It's a big deal that we saw this. We caught it on camera."
yeah.
And they open the door, and just shit is just flying in this room. Like everything is levitating, you know, going all over the place. I mean, it looks like chaos in
The
the
most dated of the special effects, I think, in the entire movie is this little section, because you could tell things are like rotoscoped out and shit like that.
yep, you could see like almost see the rope around them or whatever, the
Yeah,
string on
yeah.
them or whatever.
But it is pretty like, yeah, it's mind blowing to these guys who have just seen pennies sort of fall, and
Yes,
now records are playing in the middle of the air and shit. So
exactly. And then now suddenly there is a portal in the living room ceiling, So it's a little bit above their weight class, I would say, you know. And then they actually talk to Carol Ann, almost like a seance, but they're like, we don't set up a seance.
mm,
We don't take 5 minutes to explain the rules of a seance. I'm going to be the one talking through you, all that. No,
you
they
just
just
dive
says,
into
yeah,
it.
just call her. Just call her.
Yeah.
And then we start hearing her. This, I'm loving this movie more and more as we're talking about it. Some of the stuff they're doing. Like
It
it's
is
really good.
very expedited. It gets to everything so quickly, except for a certain character. I feel like we only get her at the very end. But go ahead.
Right. So they end up, like I said, talking to Carol Ann, and she is scared. And, they basically are just trying to figure out what's going on, you know, and then they actually see an entity just fly through the house.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Warrens decide, well, we're going to stay the night and we're going to try to capture this stuff on camera to see what's going on. So they set up these cameras, and, they're sleeping to a degree. I mean, I don't know how well you can sleep in this house, but they're all sleeping in the living room. Like the parents, everyone is all just in the living room.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, one of the guys goes to the kitchen to get something to eat. And he doesn't just like grab a bag of chips. He gets a fucking steak out of the refrigerator and starts to cook a steak.
A steak and a piece of chicken. Like, he has a piece of chicken that looks kind of stale in his mouth, and a raw steak that he puts just directly on the counter with nothing underneath it. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the steak starts Looney Tunes actioning across the fucking countertop.
Yeah. And I'm sure when they got there, this family was probably very hospitable, and they were like, yeah, whatever you want. Our house is your house. You're helping us, whatever. I don't think they meant cook a fuck steak in the middle of the night, dude.
At 3 a.m. But
Yeah.
to be fair, I think that's just the air that the house gives off, because there's also construction happening at the house earlier in the film, and they're digging out a swimming pool. And there's a scene where a random worker is just reaching through the window, having some coffee and some donuts and like whatever's cooking on the stove.
He's like tasting the spaghetti sauce. It's like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Also,
But
why are you cooking spaghetti at 8 a.m.? That doesn't make sense either.
yeah, exactly. So I think personally, the poltergeists are mad at this dude too, because they
Ooh.
really fuck with him.
Really
You know,
fuck with it.
I mean, I know they quote kidnap Carol Ann, but they fuck with him a lot more than they fuck with anybody else. And it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing cooking this steak? Like I said, the steak starts moving, and then it's like little maggots and stuff just come out of the steak. He goes to the bathroom
Because he
and
thinks he's eating a piece of chicken and it turns into maggots too. So he drops it and runs.
and I thought this was a good special effect. When he's ripping the skin off of his face. I mean, it looked creepy as all get out.
Yeah.
And it really, it doesn't really go with the rest of the film as far
Mhm.
as what the poltergeists do and they can do and things like that. But it worked for me. To me, that scene where he's ripping the stuff off, that scene Tobe Hooperish to me.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
I just feel like that's I mean, if you think about Raiders and the dude's face coming off, but it just was plain. This was like
Yeah.
very intense with him, pulling that off. So yeah, they're not happy with him either. Um, then they catch like spirits coming down the steps. And when you see it through the camera, it's like a bunch of ghosts. It's not just one poltergeist. It's not just, one ghost. It's a bunch of spirits. Um, and then because, all this is going on, Mr. Incredible hadn't been going to work. So his boss shows up to check on him. But really his boss thinks that he's doing something shady and maybe like trying to work somewhere else, like try to
Mhm.
a better job or whatever. But spoiler, this boss is a hardcore asshole. But
Yeah.
basically, he takes Mr. Incredible out to some new land that they're looking to develop.
That overlooks the entirety of the what they've already developed and then where they're expanding it.
Right. And as they're expanding it, you don't see this at first, but close to the end of the conversation, you see they're actually right beside a cemetery. And all this talk that he was talking about, building new houses and things like that, it's right there at a cemetery. And Craig T. Nelson was like, how do you do that? I mean, there's a cemetery right here. You can't build here. And he's like, oh no, I don't know if he said we have permits or whatever, but we dig up the graves and we just move them. We just move the entire cemetery and then we build the houses. So we're fine.
We've done it before. We did it in 72 with this project.
Yep, exactly. So, that's a little bit of the foreshadowing of what actually, happened. And so then back at the house, Lorraine Warren, for lack of a better term, she brings in uh, an expert, a real expert,
Well,
Tangia.
she tells them at first, she tells mom that we're not going to be able to, they're not going to stay. The guys aren't going to stay. They're not going to come back. But then one of the guys does come back. So it's weird. Whatever.
The dude that ripped off his face, I think he just was freaked out so much. They're like, he's
He
not
left.
coming back. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And she's like, but I'm going to stay. And they had like a really good chat earlier where the it's that same night that the guy tries to make steak and she's talking to the mom and she's drinking out of a flask and she's like, you're so well at keeping everything together, and she's like, I'm terrified. And such a great little moment. But she says that she's going to stay and she's going to bring someone in to help, and
Right.
then we introduce
Tangina,
the best
played
character.
by Selma Rubenstein. And I'm serious. This is chef's kiss casting.
Yeah,
It is perfect. She is perfect in this role.
yeah.
There's not enough of her, but she is perfect in this role. And if I had this going on and she comes into my house and she starts saying, this is what's happening, I'd be like, you're 100% right. I believe every word that you're saying. We will do whatever. Because clearly you know what's going on.
But this is the only time that Mr. Incredible is skeptical, because she goes upstairs and she's asking him questions, and he's like, okay, and then starts concentrating, trying to prove that
Yes.
she can't read his thoughts. And then she's like, I'm asking the living, not the dying, you fuck. Answer me.
Yeah, you're right. But again, it's just a little bit of
Yeah.
that skepticism. And so she's got a plan, of how we can do this. And I can't remember the line exactly, but it definitely reminded me a little bit of Ghostbusters where the Stay Puft Marshmallow block out your mind, don't try to think of anything, where
Yeah.
she's like, you know, don't don't think of stuff that's like going to scare you. They already have enough ammo or something like
Yeah.
that. I
Everybody
thought
knows what you're afraid of. So concentrate on this. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
I thought that was pretty cool. Um, so again, they talk to Carol Ann now, and they actually tell her to go to the light in
and
this case.
uh she tells them there's another spirit with Carol Ann that is trying to do harm to her, that is trying to hurt her.
Right. So now, we're ramping it up. And, you know, Tangina goes into the bedroom, the crazy bedroom, and she like throws some tennis balls into the closet and they come through the portal. So now you can see, maybe see what the plan is. You go into the portal, you try to find Carol Ann, and you come out the other side. Then they put a rope through, and the rope comes through. So now they tether from one side to the other. This was so funny to me. So Tangina's going to go in, and then the mom wants to do it, and Tangina's like, "No, I need to go in because you've never done this before." And then the mom says, "Well, you've never done this before either." And she's like, "You're right. Go ahead." Like no convincing whatsoever.
But if you
It
would
was like it
just
never crossed her mind.
Yeah, but if you would just change that line to "you have done this before," that's a whole prequel series that you could do on Apple Plus right instantly, you know?
Yeah, because that's kind of like the Insidious
Yeah.
route, because it is they have like a little prequel stuff for Insidious with Lin Shay. But yeah, it's unbelievable. I just love how she's like, "You never done this before. You never done this before either. You're right. Go ahead." I mean, really, they could have easily like changed that to be like, it needs to be somebody she's connected with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and I like this too. This was actually a good moment when they're trying to get Carol Ann to go to answer them, but she won't because she's scared. And she tells Mr. Incredible to be mean to her because she's scared of the dad, but not the mom.
But I
thought
love
that
the
was pretty
moment
cool.
too before that because it's like she asks who does the most discipline in the house, and the mom's like, he does, and then it's almost like it starts a mini fight. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I have to because when and she's just like, shut the fuck up. She needs to listen to you right now.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. So
And
great writing.
yes, and he even hesitates. You know what I mean? Like he's even like he's mean to her, but he's not mean to her. And
Yeah.
she's like,
Mm.
"You got to get her to freaking answer you." So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very well done. So the wife actually goes into the closet, and again, other movies this might take forever. She goes into the closet, and it's very quickly she's falling through the portal with Carol Ann.
Yeah.
And they look disgusting. They look like they have ectoplasm all over them or
They
something
look
like
like
that.
they Shawshank Redemption their way out of something is what they look like.
That's 100% right. But otherwise, they are okay.
Yeah.
They're not, hurt or, any sort of way. And they're out and they're free. And then, the cameraman, the Warren cameraman puts the camera on Tangina, and she fixes her hair. And this boss bitch is like, "This house is clean." I mean,
So
it was
good.
awesome.
So good. And she like snaps at him to look at her
Yes.
too. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, it was awesome. Again, maybe my favorite moment because
Yeah.
again, she is like, "Yeah, I fucking know what I'm doing." I mean, that's what that was. It was awesome. So she says, "This house is clean." It's not, by the way, but that's what she
At
said.
all. And like I was so happy with you, and now you've lied to me.
Exactly. You lied to my face. So it's the next day. They're moving out. To their credit,
Yeah.
they are moving out. However, they are not moving out as fast as I think they should be moving out.
Absolutely. There also was like, and one thing they did too, let me give them credit before they bring Tangina in, they send the boy and the dog away to grandma's house in a
It's true.
taxi by themselves, which is weird. Like, why the fuck would you do that? That's how children get kidnapped. But that's great. Good move. Don't bring them back before you move, though. That's fucked up. But go ahead.
The children should never step foot in that house ever again.
Ever again.
Like,
Ever.
I'm not even saying I'm going to step foot in that house.
No.
But even if I had to, for some crazy ass reason,
Yeah.
the children are not going to step foot in that house
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So they're packing up, and Craig T. Nelson is like, "Well, I gotta run to the office and I don't know, get some papers or do something. I don't know. He's got to work." Like, what? But you finish, packing and get ready, and I'll be back in
You finish packing our
3 to
haunted
12
house.
hours. I have no idea like when he's going to be back. And I did mention it. You mentioned it much earlier when she fell through. The mom now has a streak of white in her hair.
Super hot look.
Looks
And I
very
feel
good.
that's because of X-Men. The cartoon made me feel that way. But yes,
Definitely. And he mentions it, but he mentions it in a way that like it suits you or looks good or something like that. He mentions it or something, doesn't he?
yeah.
I feel like somebody mentioned it. So again, because she has to think about it because now she has to take a bath to dye her hair. She's got to get rid of this streak.
And is it because she feels she's too fertile and that now Craig T. Nelson's attracted to her and like she's trying to deflect that? Or like why you just got complimented? Granted, your body, your choice. I'm totally on board with that. But it just seems like an odd you were totally on board with it and now you switched. Why
Yes.
did you switch? You know?
Well, it could be, I've got 3 kids. I can't have any more kids. I can't have him,
That's it.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
can't have him turned on. Nothing.
yeah, exactly.
Factory is closed.
And like you said, even so they brought back so they filmed Carol Ann. The son is back.
Mhm.
Uh the dog is back. But the older daughter, again, they didn't have her that day.
She's at the Holiday Inn. She's at
Yep.
the
She's at her boyfriend's house or
yep,
whatever.
yep.
And this is daytime when they're packing up. And by the time she gets in the bath, it's nighttime. And not only are the kids back in the house, the kids are in the bedroom where all the shit went down.
And and even though they've packed up stuff, they've made sure to reset the creepy clown in the cup chair in front of the fucking bed, like just so he can stare at everybody.
Like I said earlier, I would believe every word Tangina said. However,
Yeah.
there's going to be some skepticism about putting my kids back in the bedroom where the tree kidnapped my son and the closet kidnapped my daughter.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
And she's not even washing them.
At
She's
all.
taking a bath.
A luxurious bath while she dyes her hair.
And so they get in the bed because again, who knows when the dad's going to come home? It's a booming market, I guess. I don't know what the hell he is actually doing. Was he quitting? Is that not what he was doing?
Yeah, he told him to shove it, go to hell, and he gave him directions or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So what are they doing to him all day? Trying to woo him back? Like it doesn't take that long to go into the office and quit. I feel like.
But apparently, Boss Man felt like he still had an extra bargaining chip even after
Yes.
Mr. Incredible left, and we'll get to that momentarily.
So the kids get in the bed, and then the clown. I don't really know the chain of events, but the clown attacks the boy, and it's really cool, like creepy, how that works because the kid thinks the clown is gone, and he's looking under the bed. The clown's not under the bed, but when he pulls back up the camera shot, the clown's like right there, and the clown attacks him. So, and then this is a cool shot. This is out of like Nightmare on Elm Street, even though this came out before Nightmare on Elm Street. When the mom gets attacked, by Poltergeist, and basically pulls her up. She goes up the wall. She's on the ceiling. Very reminiscent of the original Nightmare on Elm Street to
Yeah.
me,
Mhm.
to the point to where Nightmare on Elm Street probably copied this.
And she's even wearing like a jersey too, like she's just wearing a shirt, which is exactly what Tina's wearing. And yeah,
Yeah. Um, and she's dragged across the ceiling, and like all hell breaks loose again
Mhm.
because the house is not clean. The mom runs outside for help.
Well, she runs to the door. She's gonna go get her kids, but then there's like a ghost bulldog thing,
Super scary looking thing.
super scary looking thing, and then she gets sent down the stairs, and then runs. Something happens when she gets sent down the stairs. She goes touch the stairs again, get electrocuted. They do a Texas switch underneath the staircase as she
What does
runs.
that mean?
So a Texas switch is like, so you see where my microphone is?
Yep.
So you have like a stunt person coming through here, and then the actual actor takes over behind the microphone.
Oh, okay.
So they do that with her, like a stunt person gets thrown, gets back up, runs, and then switches to the real actress.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've seen that in 1,000 movies, but I don't think I ever heard that term as far
Yeah.
as that.
And then so she runs outside and she's yelling for the neighbor to come help her. And I
And
think what happens next?
she falls into the swimming pool, the unfinished swimming pool. And this is super creepy too.
Super
Excellent,
creepy. Yeah.
excellent. Because again, it's raining, it's nighttime, it's storming, it's muddy. She's covered in mud, and she can't get out of the pool because it's like just mud. And as she's trying to get out, like a skeleton head just pops up right beside her. Then another skeleton pops up, and then freaking caskets just start
They start
popping up.
boom, boom.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So the neighbor actually does like pull her out, I believe.
Hmm.
So she does get out of the pool, but again, there's skeletons all over the place. And she actually does this time actually get into the bedroom.
And
And
meanwhile, Mr. Incredible is pulling in.
yes, and the kids are about to be sucked in to the closet. Again, it's both of them this time. And the mom, grabs the son, and then the son grabs Carol Ann, and she pulls them all out. So they get out of the room. They don't get sucked into the closet.
Mhm.
And as they're running out, just like coffins are just popping up and through the house now.
Yeah.
And Craig T. Nelson's back. And the boss is following him for some. He's trying to get him to stay on board or whatever. And when Craig T. Nelson sees the coffins, that's when he goes crazy. And it's famous in this movie when he grabs him. And he's like, "You only move the headstones."
Yeah.
So when they built this entire area, they only moved the headstones and left the graves there, which is like, super crazy. And I'm not arguing with the logic of the film,
No.
but when you build a house, I feel like you go down a little bit. I guess none of these houses have basements. I mean, that might be a part of the thing, but
But it also could be like not only a comment about American culture and what we've built ourselves upon, but also the poor housing market at the time not living up to the standards and requirements of foundation pouring, you know?
yeah, there's not really regulations,
Yeah.
as far as
Hmm.
that goes. Um, so coffins are probably, but they actually do get out of the house,
Yeah.
and they get in the car just in time for the older daughter to like get Ubered there. I guess maybe her boyfriend was dropping her off or something, but it's perfect timing,
Yeah.
and she's freaking out because the house is going crazy,
Yeah.
and she gets in the car, and they just take off.
I
They
love also in that shot of everybody in the car, you can't really see the older daughter in the car. So like I was left wondering, did they grab her? But you could see everybody else and you could see the dog just like smiling. Like everybody's terrified. And the dog's like, this is great. We're all together again, guys. This is awesome.
He's like, we made it. And then basically the house just collapses in on itself.
Yeah.
And
But
then
not like a normal collapsing in on itself, like a vortex.
that's true. Yeah, it's almost like a black hole inside a black
Yeah.
hole or something like that. Just you know. So they get to the Holiday Inn that according to you, your girl's been at several times.
Several
Maybe
times. Oh, I remember that
film
place.
some movies
What?
there.
Yeah.
So they get there and they are exhausted. They are beat. They are walking, down the hallway, the outside hallway and they go into the room, and a great, great
Great
touch.
shot.
The door closes, the door opens back up, and Craig T. Nelson just pushes the TV out of the room
Yeah.
and shuts the door.
The camera
And
slowly just
yes,
pulls back.
I mean, great ending shot.
Great ending shot.
I feel like the moral of the story is probably like don't smoke pot. Is that what you took out of this?
Or just don't watch TV. Don't let kids watch TV. That's the thing.
But yeah, it's a good movie. Like
It's a great movie. I
yeah.
really dug it. I don't think it reaches Jaws level. I don't think it reaches Texas Chainsaw level.
No,
But I think it's like just shy of that. Like I think I gave it like 4 stars or something on mine because I had a great time. I don't know why it doesn't all come together to me, but the pieces that are strong are so fucking strong.
yeah, it's definitely the pieces that are strong are really strong. You know, I wanted more of Tangina,
Yeah.
but she does come back in later films.
Okay.
So that's good as far as that goes. But I gave it 3.5. I mean, that's really good for me,
Yeah.
for this. But yeah, I dug it a lot. And I just like that we don't waste any time. We jump right in.
Yeah.
As I said before, There are no skeptics. No one's not believing what's going on. We're not trying to solve a mystery.
No.
Basically, Craig T. Nelson just says at the very end when everything's breaking, all hell's breaking loose. He's like, "You didn't move the bodies." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
no one had to figure that out. It
Yeah.
was that one little bit of exposition when he was trying to sell him on, moving his house or whatever, and then we get that. I mean, it was very well done.
It's tight, it's expedited. I think it does have like it's like the word I was talking to somebody the other day and like they're taking German and so I was trying to tell them like Geist is ghost and Polter is playful. And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it means playful ghost. Like that's what it means." And they're like, "Well, then people are just misusing that term." I'm like, "Yeah, but at the beginning of this movie, you can kind of see how they're using it the way it's meant to be. Like it's a playful ghost. He's playing little games with them and stuff like that until it turns something sour. And I really like that's where we start before it becomes something terrible, you know?
Right. Yeah,
Uh
absolutely.
yeah, and some great iconography and all that sort of stuff. I dug it. I think I totally see why it's on this list. Like there's so many shots and moments that you can see echoed throughout horror history. And again, I don't know that these are the originators of it, but it feels like a lot of them are. And just a nice, clean ghost story. Like it's really fun.
Yeah, and we've covered a couple of ghost stories in this too. Like I'd already mentioned, the Changeling and
Hmm. Ghost
Ghost
story.
Story.
Yeah.
And again, these are totally different.
Yeah.
This is a totally different type of ghost story. And there's room for both, but this is like balls to the wall,
Yeah.
craziness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dug it.
And I really do like the fact that like the family does seem to be the center of it, and it is a believable family unit. Like you buy all the pieces of it. You buy these people as parents. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
And
So
they also offer a reason for them not to leave
yeah,
because they can't leave. They
yeah,
know their daughter is there in the house. We
yeah,
can't leave. We're not leaving until we get our daughter back.
exactly.
So they're not just being stupid, staying in this house. Again, except for excuse me, except for the end when they go back into the house for the crazy reason. But
Them
at
being
that
gone.
point, I'm already on board with the movie. I've
Yeah,
already seen all the cool stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. So the two things that we do are we do Funko Pops of the movie and then how we would remake it. What's your Funko Pop gonna be?
so I don't know if you're aware of this. There's already a Funko Pop of Carol Ann from
Ooh,
Poltergeist 2 for some
okay.
odd reason. I wonder if
That's
there's some
weird.
sort of rights issue. I don't
Yeah.
really
Mm,
know,
mm,
but she's Carol Ann from Poltergeist 2.
okay.
So, you know, I would think you would do the TV with her at the TV, but because there's already a Carol Ann, I'd do a Tangina. Like I love
Solid
Tangina.
choice. Solid choice. I'm doing the weird, creepy thing outside of the door that won't let her go in, the little bulldog
Okay, yeah,
looking thing.
that's a good one too.
That's going to be mine. Now, as far as remaking, I know there has been a remake of this film. I haven't seen the remake either.
I have not seen the remake either.
What would you do?
So I'm gonna kind of pretend that that remake doesn't exist because
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, I would do a straight remake. Uh, it's a movie, but I would go a little younger in the cast
Okay.
as far as the parents.
Younger than 31-year-old Craig T. Nelson?
Yeah, exactly. And and maybe have some more. Again, I love the family dynamic in this, but I would have more tension with the parents in this or whatever. So I feel like I've been pronouncing her name wrong. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right now, but I looked it up as Zazu Beats. Like
Zazie
I used,
Beats. Yeah.
yeah, I love her.
Me
Like
too.
she's
Me too.
awesome. So she'd be the mom. And then the dad would be Josh O'Connor. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's in Challengers
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
The Crown, and then he's in the new Knives Out, I think. Um, so he would be the dad. And as far as I don't really know how to cast kids because I don't really know, like any kids or whatever, but Tangina would be Haruko Sanada, Scorpion from Mortal Kombat and Shogun.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think like again, if he came into my house and started saying, "Here's what we're going to do," I'd be
I
like,
believe
"Yes,
everything
sir.
you said. Yeah.
That's what we're doing."
Yep.
The final part of this, I'm laying everything to rest. Steven Spielberg will direct this movie.
That's great.
That's
That's
what's
great.
happening. It's going to
That
be his version. May already be his version already. What we just
yeah.
watched, but this will truly
be
the
his
Steven
version.
Spielberg version. And
Well,
it's so funny because when I did this cast list like, whatever, 3 or 4 days ago. And then I just saw yesterday that Steven Spielberg is doing like an alien movie. Like, I mean, I knew he was doing an alien movie, but I just saw that Josh O'Connor is cast in a Steven Spielberg
that's
film.
amazing. Just
Yeah.
slide him a script,
Yeah.
Chad. You already got
Exactly.
he's got the cast right there.
We've already got it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the opposite then. I'm gonna resurrect Tobe Hooper and use his spirit to direct this so we can see the full on version of it. I'm gonna do a straight remake as well. I'm gonna do Sterling K. Brown as the Craig T. Robinson character. I'm gonna do Victoria Pedretti from the show You and The Haunting of
Okay.
Hill House as the mom. So that way I'm gonna maintain that like little age gap thing there just so they have because there's something interesting about that dynamic and it's not being negative or abusive, it's just is what it is, right? And so I like that. And then for my Tangina character, I'm gonna do Shira Haas, who played Ruth, aka Sabra, in Captain America Brave New World.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, and I think it'll be fun. And then bring Mr. Incredible back to play the boss, who's responsible for everything as the little
Okay. Yeah.
cameo
Yeah.
thing.
That works. That works. Yeah. I
So,
like that.
yeah, that's Poltergeist. I enjoyed it. Are the other two because there's only two more, right? Are they both in the 80s as well?
Yeah. I know two is. I think three is. I wouldn't swear to it, but I mean, it's got the. I think three only has Carol Ann in it. I don't remember it. Uh, like two is the whole family's back. Like
Three is 88, yeah.
okay, that's what. Yep.
So we might get all three of them in the next 45
I'm
years.
fairly certain that Poltergeist 2 is on the In Search of Darkness list. I'm not 100% about 3. It might not be in the first documentary, but it might be in, In Search of Darkness 2 or 3. But
Gotcha. Well, I'm excited. Like I said, I never watched any of the Poltergeists before, but this like I had such a good time with this first one. I want to go see the rest of them now. I really enjoyed it, so I'm pumped. But that is our first movie of 1982. What is the next one, Chad?
well, I've seen this one. Let me know if you have. It is from, like you said, from 1982, Basket Case.
Yeah, fucking Basket Case. I've seen Basket Case. What a
Like,
dumb fucking movie.
I mean, it is batshit insane.
I used to rent Basket Case a lot just because it's so ridiculous. Like just trying to tell someone what it's about. No, but he has like a little demon thing in a basket. Like,
Yes. And I know we spoil stuff. Obviously, we talk about the entire thing. I'm gonna spoil Basket Case real fast because again, I hadn't seen Basket Case in forever. This is literally the only thing I remember is the main guy going, "My brother."
but Basket Case existed. Basket Case crawled so Malignant could run. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely. And I love *Malignant*. I
Yeah,
love it.
I took it.
Yeah,
And as a kid, I loved Basket Case, but I haven't seen it in probably 30 years. So let's see what happens.
I feel like Basket Case is probably going to feel very '80s.
Oh yeah,
Very.
I think
Like,
it's
I
gonna
mean,
feel 70s.
that's really what I mean. I mean, like early '80s, like dirty New York, like
Yeah,
Maniac or something like that. I feel like that's what it's going to feel like. Like, obviously, I didn't feel that way with Poltergeist. Poltergeist is '80s. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but yeah, this is going to be
But I feel also like
dirty New York.
Poltergeist was probably shot in the 80s, where I think Basket Case was probably shot in 1979. And I bet there's going to be 6 shots where you can still see camera people like in the shot, like you can see grips and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
just feel it's going to be that low budget where Poltergeist had Spielberg, you know?
I already feel like again, it's been a long time since then. I don't feel like there's any reason this should be on the In Search of Darkness documentary. Like it's not in the pantheon. I mean, I may watch it and be like, I was wrong. I mean, I was wrong.
Maybe like I remember it being a lot of fun and ridiculous and just that monster being such a swing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At like let's make
You
an
mean his
icon.
brother?
Yes, I can't wait. Oh, I'm so excited. Well, I was talking about remaking it, but like getting Adam Driver to play the main guy.
You nailed it already.
I know what I have to do. I just don't know if I have the strength. And then it'll be fun.
And the dude that played Quato in Total Recall has
Yeah, bring it back. It was
Basket
fucking
Case.
different. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it'd be so fun. Anyway,
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah. So, well, head in the basket is what we're getting. We'll try to get that Green Day song at the beginning of the next one. So until next time, Chad, where can the people find you?
They can find the podcast on Twitter, X. It's NQC Podcast. Also on YouTube under Bean Dip Productions.
Yeah, and if you're looking for me, you can find me in the not quite darkness.
Peace.
Buckle kite.